A storm capable of producing a tornado located near Traer. This is going to be near Traer or 15 miles north of the Toledo area, moving east at 25 miles per hour. This will be affecting Traer, Dysart, and the T.F. Clark State Park. You need to be seeking shelter right now, getting indoors, protecting yourself from flying debris. We will be mobile streaming here very shortly, if not already, so you can get us on your mobile devices. Make sure you are heeding action right now. We're going to zoom into this tornado warning for you. You can see Traer and Dysart there. This is the same area we track storms, unfortunately, last night, and tornado warnings along this area, so not wanting to see that again. But it looks like if this does hold together, just know that Benton County and southern Blackhawk County could be in line for this tornado warning. That is now for pretty much all of Tama County almost. The county line is right there, so majority of Tama County now in that tornado warning. We're waiting for the velocity to come up here on our radar so we can see inside that storm and tell you exactly where that possible rotation is. But indicating here, just without that rotation, I'd say it's where this little notch is, right about the Traer area. So Traer looks like you might be under the gun right now. As far as that major roadway that does go through here, that is going to be US 63. So if you are traveling on US Highway 63 around the Traer area, know you need to be seeking shelter, pull off the roadways, and also make sure you try to get into a house or any building nearby that is substantial. Last resort is to get in the ditch, but I'm going to warn you, with this heavy rainfall, those ditches are going to fill up with water very, very quickly here. There's our velocity now just coming in, and you can see what we look for in these storms is the green next to the red. Now these are looking at the winds. Green are winds go blowing towards the radar, and red are winds blowing away from the radar. And when you get those mixing it together, as you can see right there north of Traer or right on Traer, that is what we are continuing to see across the area, and that is what is possibly producing that tornado. It's a pretty good signature right there, so even if it's Doppler indicated, there is a lot of rotation with this and could quickly put down either a tornado, a funnel cloud, or even produce 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts, which could produce damage just like a weak tornado. So even if you don't have an actual tornado, could be doing damage just with those wind speeds. So Highway 63 right there. We're also going to put on another road here so you can get some information there as far as north and south. This is going to be US Highway D65, and that continues off to the north of that. So almost the same location as where we were yesterday with the tornado warnings, almost exactly. And we did have a confirmed tornado with that one yesterday as well. So we are continuing to see strong rotation there. Highway 63 right around the Traer area. I'm going to zoom in a little closer so we could put a storm track on this for you, where we're seeing this rotation, and kind of give you an estimate on where you can expect that to be in your area. So we do have a lot of small towns right here, so not sure how many are going to pick up, but we'll put it in the Traer area and take it out. And you can see at Dysart, it'll be there at 2:25. So Dysart, you have about 20 minutes to be seeking shelter right now. So this is your time to get all your things together, get in the basement, call mom or grandpa or grandma who may not know what's going on, and let them know what's going on now so they can start seeking shelter and getting things prepared as well. Also, kids at home for summer that are alone maybe right now. You need to stay calm. You need to get in the basement or the lowest part of your house. Put as many walls between you as possible. Everything will be okay. Mom and Dad will eventually find you. But right now, if you're in the Traer area or you live around the Traer area, you need to be seeking shelter down in the lowest floor of your home. As far as rotation, we're still seeing that rotation pretty strong here throughout just pretty much right north of Traer, right along Highway 63. And it will continue to push off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So Dysart, you're in line for this. It looks like it'll be moving south of the LaPorte City area, and then also eventually into the Vinton area. This is still Doppler indicated, but just know these storms have been producing, you can go ahead and load that, Corey, there, but it has been producing 2 inches of rainfall in about 45 minutes. So that's how quickly this rain is coming down. You are not going to see this tornado, and we don't want you to go try and see this tornado. We want you to seek shelter now. Take plans if you're out in front of this, Vinton, LaPorte City, Dysart, that area. You need to be seeking shelter. So get to the lowest floor of your house. If there's no basement, get to an interior room. Get out of a mobile home, go into the shelters park or a house nearby. Also, don't try to outrun this tornado. Like I said, you're not going to see it with that rainfall. You could lay in the ditch or low-lying area. I would probably recommend with all this heavy rain to go to a nearby house or building. Avoid windows, put as many walls between you as the tornado as possible, and then get under something sturdy, whether it's a table, the stairs, something that will protect you from anything falling from above, and then cover yourself with blankets, mattresses, pillows, put your bike helmet on, your baseball helmet, something to protect your body and your head from any flying debris, because that's what causes injuries in tornadoes. It's the debris that hits you, not the actual winds. So, Corey, I'm going to probably toss it over to you at the wall here with this tornado warning and try to get some more updates for us.
Thank you very much, Jen. Chief Meteorologist Corey Christiansen joining you now. I'm going to head over to the green screen just to be able to get a chance to kind of point out some of what we are talking about with this storm. We just keep getting hit by round after round of storms, and here's the latest one. Like Jen mentioned, this is in the same exact area that we were tracking last night, right through portions of Tama County here, right in the corner of Grundy County, southern Blackhawk County, and northern Tama County, right on top of Traer, moving across Highway 63, right where we have the scope kind of highlighted on those areas. That's where we could potentially see a tornado that's on the ground. It'd be moving out to the east, out toward the Dysart area, and eventually out toward Benton County as well. Benton County does have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect right now for some 60-mile-an-hour winds, also for some large hail. We have had reports of hail up to at least half-dollar size. That's 1.25 inches in diameter, but possibly even ping pong ball size hail coming out of these storms. But of course, it is that tornado threat that we are watching the most closely right now, and trying to be able to pinpoint exactly where we're seeing that rotation. What you're seeing here is where the winds are turning within the storm. The Doppler radar, it sends out impulses of energy out there to sample what's going on, and it gets bounced off of all the rain, all the hail, everything that's inside that storm comes back to the radar, and the radar can be able to sense essentially how fast things are moving within that storm. And anything that you're seeing that is green, that's movement toward the radar. Red is movement away from the radar. You get them right next to each other like what we're seeing right there, and that's a good indication of rotation again, and possibly we indicate a tornado could be possible with that rotation, and it would be right on top of Traer itself. Here is the community of Traer, and you're looking at that rotation right on top of you there, right between the green and the red. It's right in the community. Last night it was a little bit farther up to the north in some areas that were a little less populated, but this appears to possibly be heading right through the north side of town. Let's zoom back in there if we could, Jen, for just a moment, and let's try to put a couple more streets on there. Let's get back down to that street level, and let's try to highlight a couple of these streets just so folks can know where we are in relation to where that tornado might be. Again, most likely right in this area, just on the north side of town, crossing Highway 63 as we're speaking. Here is QQ Avenue, 155th Street, right in these areas. That's where we're looking at a tornado that could be on the ground. Jen, I just wanted to make sure, was this just radar indicated so far? Had there been any confirmed reports that you've received from the National Weather Service of any spotters that have seen something? Yeah,
still just Doppler indicated so far. So still seeing that just rotation on the map. Haven't heard of any reports, and I don't know if we'll see anything just because it is seeing that very heavy rainfall with this.
Yeah, most like a rain-wrapped tornado that we're going to be dealing with. And just because we don't have visual confirmation of a tornado that is in this area, this is really all that you need to be able to tell you that you need to be in your shelter immediately. If you're not already there, head there right now. Get to the basement. Get to the lowest interior room of your house if you possibly can get to a closet or a bathroom, someplace without any windows. Avoid windows at all costs in these types of storms, just because those will be the first to go in your home, and you can be injured by flying debris. Find a room that is away from windows, and again, in the lowest floor of your home. If you don't have a basement, just get to that lowest floor and try to find that interior room. Traer is the community that we're watching right now, and again, that's going to be moving out to the east toward Dicer. Let's get a storm track on this, Jen, if we could.
Okay.
What was the speed on this again, moving to the east, I
30
imagine?
miles per hour.
30 miles an hour. Again, a little bit of a slow-moving storm, similar to what we had last night. Not a terribly fast-moving storm, so it's going to take a few extra minutes for it to get to the Dysart area. But everybody out here in advance of that storm, heads up, because we are going to be dealing with several communities that could be impacted by this. Dysart, you're looking at 2:25, which is about 10 minutes from now. Garrison at 2:38, as far as when that storm could potentially be in your area. Anybody that's in the path of this storm, you need to be taking shelter right now, as there is that potential that we could see a tornado. All of this rain that's coming in here as well, that's a huge threat. We saw last night what some of these heavy rains have done, the flash flooding. We've seen roads that have been washed out, the highways, Highway 1, Highway 151. We had issues north of Mount Vernon, around the Fairfax areas. And look at this big line of rain that stretches all the way up into Bremer County and goes all the way down to I-80, even a little bit farther south than that. And it's all pushing east. It's all going to go over the same areas that had these flooding rains from last night. And we're going to get hit again for this afternoon. So,
and Corey, I'm just going to break in here because we have several more severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm just going to run through those.
Yeah, let me go ahead and let you take over with those with some of the new details there.
Fayette County until 3:15, severe thunderstorm warning. You could see 2-inch diameter hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds with this one. Farther to the south, we have lots of warnings out in front of these. We have still Benton County until 2:45, but now all of Iowa County until 3:15 has been issued in that, and still Poweshiek and Mahaska County till 3:15. We still also have Tama County, if you're not in that tornado warning, until 3 o'clock, a severe thunderstorm warning, and then also Poweshiek County there until 2:45. The very southern edge of Blackhawk County, if you're not in the tornado warning, you are in severe thunderstorm warning. Now, this will be eventually hitting Cedar Rapids and Iowa City. It is 70-mile-an-hour winds or stronger out in front of it. Before you even see the rain, you will see a strong wind gust, and then you're going to get very, very heavy rainfall, some hail possibility, and of course, the possibility of these tornadoes spinning up like we do see here in Tama County right now.
And Jen, I know earlier down to the south, there was also another tornado warning that was heading toward the Oskaloosa area. Can we zoom out just a little bit to see what's happening there? It looks like maybe they've taken off that tornado warning, just a severe thunderstorm warning now down toward Oskaloosa. That was also one that we were watching just for some of our southern communities, but it's this entire line that Jen is showing you here right now that stretches from Oskaloosa. As she put it into motion here, you'll see briefly a tornado warning that was in effect there, that red outline that came in. Nice to see that that has been taken off, but of course we still have so many threats that we're dealing with here. We've got the strong winds that are going to be on the leading edge of this line of storms, of the squall line as this moves in, and especially right in these areas where it's starting to bow out just a little bit. You see kind of a little bit of a curve that started to head in toward the Cedar Rapids area. That tends to be where those winds, those outflow winds, are pushing out the strongest with that line of storms, and this can be where it causes the most damage. We've seen this several times this month and could be getting another round for tonight. So some very strong winds coming in along here, possibly at least 60 miles an hour, maybe even 70 miles an hour, straight line winds. That can do plenty of damage just by itself. There's also a lot of hail that's embedded in this line, up to 1.5 inches in diameter. That's the size of a ping pong ball. And then, of course, all the heavy rain. The big threat, however, that we continue to stay on the air for...
This is a new one, Corey.
...is the tornado warning. Okay, it was in Tama County. Now it has been moved out to the east.
Still have the Tama County one, and that's been kind of cut back there, just updated there, now just kind of the northeastern corner until 2:30. And then out in front of this, they've also now added Benton County until 2:45. This will include the Vinton area.
Vinton is in there. Yeah, let's get a storm track on that if we could, just to give a timeline of when that's going to be in the Vinton area. While you're drawing on that, let me get some of the information here from the National Weather Service on this latest one. Again, that would be coming out of the Quad Cities office, so let me get that information.
While you get that, I'll go over these towns. Dysart at 2:25, LaPorte City at 2:32, Garrison at 2:35, and Vinton at 2:42. So Vinton, you have time now, but you may be hearing the tornado sirens going off. As of 2:13, so 5 minutes ago, A possible tornado located 6 miles west of Dysart and moving east at 40 miles per hour. So we'll continue to track that rotation, and it will be pushing towards the Vinton area here within probably the next half hour. So you need to be seeking shelter now. This is your time to be getting to your safe spot.
So here's that latest information again from the National Weather Service. Just want to be able to give you the latest updates on this new warning that just came out at 2:13. So we're talking about 5-6 minutes ago. The storm was located 6 miles west of Dysart, which is where we are located here with the radar. Just to the west here is where we're seeing the potential tornado. 6 miles out to the west, somewhere around the Traer area, and then moving out toward Dysart. Dysart could be right in the path of a potential tornado. Again, we're putting on the scope here, being able to show you where that rotation is, and it's moving directly to the east. So Dysart, you're in line potentially for a tornado, and then eventually this is going to be moving out to the east toward Garrison and Vinton. Those areas also need to be taking shelter immediately. Again, some of the other information from the National Weather Service on this. The tornado is radar indicated. Again, there's so much rain here that it's tough to be able to get any visual confirmation from any storm spotters in the area. We don't have a confirmed report of a tornado that's on the ground, but please just take this as your warning. Take this as your confirmation, all the rotation that we're seeing within this storm on radar, that this is a serious threat. Again, also producing some half-dollar size hail, moving to the east at 40 miles an hour. It will be near Garrison around 2:35, so that gives you about 15 minutes in the Garrison area, which is right down here. 15 minutes until a potential tornado could be moving into that area. Let's see, Van Horn and Vinton around 2:40, so 20 minutes for those communities to be able to make sure that you're in your shelter. You should be getting there right now, however, not waiting those 20 minutes. It's the 20-minute lead time that you have to try to gather things together. Make sure that you know where you're going. Get to the basement. Get something to cover yourself up with, like we talked about. Mattress, some blankets, bicycle helmet to protect your head, and don't forget a good pair of shoes as you head down into your storm shelter, just in case you do have some damage as you're coming back out of that storm shelter. You need to make sure that you have something good on your feet so that you can also protect those as well. Some tornado safety instructions here for you. I'll let Jen run over these real quickly just for folks who are now in this new tornado warning that's in Benton County. Jen? Yeah, you need to, like Corey has been saying, get to the lowest floor of your house or your apartment complex, anything like that. If you are in an apartment complex, go knock on your neighbor's door and ask to come in. I don't think they're going to say no in this instance. If you have no basement, get to an interior room. You're going to put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible, and then you are going to want to stay away from windows. If you are in outside, as far as you were at the park, ball games, stuff like that, you need to be getting into a shelter, whether it's the restrooms at the park or a house or business nearby. Last resort is to go into a ditch. Don't try to outrun this tornado because it is going to be hard to see and it could switch directions quickly, so you don't know where it's going because of the heavy rainfall, but you do need to be safe. You also need to stay away from those windows because they will quickly break with any flying debris. Get under something sturdy, such as a table, a pool table, something that can protect you from anything falling from above. And then you're going to cover yourself with blankets, a mattress, pillows, sleeping bags, anything to protect you from the stuff that may be flying around and could possibly hit you. And of course, we are mobile streaming, so you can get us on your tablets or your mobile phones, or turn the TV volume as loud as you can and listen to us, and we'll continue to give the information and tell you when it is all clear. Let's get right back to radar there and show you the latest image. Again, this is moving right in toward the Dysart area. You need to be taking shelter immediately. Garrison, Vinton, Van Horn, all those communities also in the line of a potential tornado that would likely be rain wrapped. You're not going to see this. There's so much heavy rain that is coming out of this storm that you're not going to be able to have visual confirmation of a tornado that's in the area. But that's what we're showing you here with Doppler radar, is that there is rotation with this storm, and there is a potential tornado moving through these communities. Jen also highlighting a couple of streets that are on here. 53rd Street, US 63, it has already crossed the highway there that leads into Traer. It looked like the storm might have gone just to the north of Traer. Some of the northern portions of that community may have been affected by this storm. Not getting any reports in just yet from anybody in that community, but if we do, we'll be sure to pass those along to you. But Dysart, That's where we're watching for the biggest threat right now, but eventually heading as it moves to the east, Mount Auburn, Garrison, Vinton, all of those areas will also be impacted. And then eventually, if this storm does hold that rotation, the next county after Benton County is Linn County. So anybody in northern Linn County also heads up, putting you on alert right now that there is the potential that we could see some damaging weather, of course, moving through. Whether it maintains this rotation as a tornado, tough to tell right now, but certainly we're going to see some strong winds that are going to be coming through at least through northern Linn County. Really, the entire viewing area here is going to be dealing with this, but I think some of the strongest winds are going to be right along Blackhawk County into Buchanan County, down through Benton and Linn, and then eventually as you get a little bit farther down to the south in Iowa and Johnson counties, those areas will likely see the strongest winds, 60 to 70 mile an hour, straight line winds, lots of hail, and possibly some more flooding rains.
And speaking of some damage with these winds, Corey, I'm going to butt in here for a second.
Go right ahead.
1 mile south of Grundy Center, which is in Grundy County, very close to Tama County here. They've had a thunderstorm wind gusts over 70 miles per hour. Just south of the town of Chelsea, there are power lines down and lots of trees damaged in the town of Chelsea. So just south of Grundy Center in Waterloo, we've had a report of a wind gust of over 50 miles per hour. In La Grande, which is in Marshall County, getting close to the Tama County line there, scattered large tree limbs that have been blown down across the yard and along US 30. So be careful there. And we're continuing to see just some big, strong wind gusts. Belle Plaine now just coming in with a wind gust of 60 to 65 mile an hour, and power is out in Belle Plaine. So even if you're not seeing this possible tornado in the Tama area, Traer area, do know we are seeing 60 to 70, possibly higher wind gusts.
Just got a report.
Storm.
Yeah, sorry, Jen, just also to interrupt. In Benton County, they just updated the warning there. The National Weather Service updated the warning to now include the possibility of 80 mile an hour straight line winds in Benton County. That's also where we do have the tornado warning. Again, the Vinton area here, there is that tornado warning that's in effect, but even if you don't get impacted by the tornado, there's also straight line winds that are going to be coming out of this line that's moving through the area that could produce 80 mile an hour winds. That's plenty strong enough to be able to knock trees over, power lines, do damage to homes. This is a very serious situation. And this is just now one county west of Cedar Rapids and Iowa City.
And speaking of Cedar Rapids, we've had torrential flash flooding here in Cedar Rapids. The ground is wet. 70 mile an hour wind, 80 mile an hour wind, trees are going to get uprooted very easily. So
for sure.
Cedar Rapids, you have time right now. Get stuff inside the house, get your car in the garage. Also, any toys that are out there, lawn chairs, anything, you need to be getting them in now because it is quickly going to be approaching the Cedar Rapids area.
Just to run down some of the warnings again that we have in effect. Severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15 for Iowa County. With this one, the National Weather Service is saying 80 mile an hour winds as well down here now in Iowa County. So heading into Williamsburg, anywhere across I-80, these areas are going to be dealing with some very strong winds. 80 mile an hour winds, that is very powerful with this storm system. The heavy rain, the flash flooding also expected to come with this. And there may even be a little bit of rotation. The National Weather Service is saying that there could possibly be some rotation in here, maybe a tornado embedded within that line that's moving in toward Iowa County. So we're watching that closely. However, Benton County is the only one right now that does have that tornado warning. Let me just give you some of the information here on some of these other ones. Jen just mentioned Belle Plaine, that thunderstorm wind gust of 65 miles an hour. That is a confirmed gust. The National Weather Service also saying gusts could get up to 80 miles an hour with some of these storms. And now we're showing you some of our northern communities. We've got Buchanan County. We've also got up into Fayette County. Severe thunderstorm warnings there for some strong winds, large hail, a lot of damaging weather expected to move through. Our extreme northern counties up into Winneshiek and Alameda counties, looks like you're not getting hit quite as bad with this. The worst of it seems to be just to the south of you here across portions of Bremer and also into Fayette counties. But by far, the worst of the winds is where you see that line that's kind of bowing out here a little bit. You see it kind of pushing out ahead of the rest of the thunderstorm line. That's indicative of some very strong winds that are pushing in with that storm. And again, could possibly be up to 80 miles an hour. There may even be a tornado somewhere embedded in this line headed toward Iowa County, although the National Weather Service has not issued a tornado warning just yet for that area. Jen, it's been just a little bit of time since we've gotten to that tornado warning again back in Benton County. Let's zoom right back into it. If you could put a storm track back on it once again. Let's time it out toward the Vinton area. See, we're getting close. Originally, the National Weather Service had said 2:40 was the time that Vinton might be impacted by a potential tornado. Here's where we're seeing the rotation. Looks to be just off to the northwest of Vinton. It looks like it's been pretty much heading due east. It hasn't really changed direction a whole lot here. It'd be right in this area, south of LaPorte City, possibly just up to the northwest of Vinton, that we could have a tornado right along U.S. Highway 218, crossing that highway and then moving in toward the Vinton area. So Vinton, you're going to see some very strong winds first, and then also the heavy rain, and then possibly a rain-wrapped tornado that you're not going to be able to see at all, that could be coming through to do some damage in your community. You need to be in your shelter. This is why the threat is so serious right now with this, because you're just not going to be able to see it. Timing out those storms, again, LaPorte City 2:32, a couple of minutes away. Gilbertville at 2:32 as well. Vinton 2:45 is at least what we're seeing here on the radar. Anywhere between 2:40 to 2:45 is when we're expecting that to arrive. Brandon 2:48, and then Urbana at 2:57. And then again, if this does hold its rotation, it's going to be moving through northern Lynn County. So that's also going to put I-380 into play here, Center Point, Walker, and eventually out towards Central City. We still have the Lynn County Fair going on for today. They may already be shutting down operations, or at least planning on it, as this storm system is starting to push our direction with all of this heavy rain that's going to be impacting us. And again, that tornado threat that is likely just to the south of LaPorte City, right in this area. That's where we would anticipate to see the tornado, and it could be moving right along Vinton. Jen, let's zoom in just a little bit more if we could, put out a couple extra streets on there, just to let people know in relation to where they may be. Again, Mount Auburn certainly could be impacted by this. And then we'll draw a couple of streets on here just so that you can give an idea of where we're going to be. U.S. Highway 218 down here to the south, 54th Street up here to the north. Likely looks like it's just a little bit north of 218. But really anywhere in this area that you're seeing the green touching the red, that is where we're seeing rotation with radar. And pretty much you could get a tornado that's anywhere in this vicinity. The whole thing could be rotating exactly where it's touching the ground. It'd be somewhere right along some of these areas that we have highlighted right here on the screen. So anybody in Vinton County taking shelter immediately, and northern Lynn County, be on alert, as there's a potential that we could see a tornado that's moving through that area.
I'm going to break in, Corey.
Jen, go right ahead.
Benton County, the town of Garrison, reports over 70-mile-an-hour winds. They've been reporting widespread damage there. 10 miles west of Vinton, that is in Benton County, 7-mile wind gusts, widespread wind damage across western Buchanan County. So even if you don't have the tornado, we do have reports of some very, very, very strong winds doing damage. And I do want to put this on the radar as well. And zoom out here because we do have another tornado warning. It is not officially in our viewing area, but could be pushing into our viewing area. It's just kind of the fringe counties here. It is going to be for Poweshiek and Mahaska County until 3 p.m. It's Doppler indicated. I would probably say if Betts would be probably kind of in this indication indent right there. But it's Doppler indicated, and even if it's not a tornado, it is producing some very heavy rainfall as well.
Let's go ahead and zoom in on that one if we could, Jen. Let's get a little bit closer in on that one then, because that is certainly getting close into Iowa County and also into Keokuk County. Again, those counties not included in the tornado warning, it looks like. It looks like that warning, again, you said it's for Poweshiek County.
Warning box there since it's kind of blending in with the red rain there. So there's the tornado warning box I've outlined there. It is going to be the tornado warning for Poweshiek and Mahaska County till 3 o'clock. I'll put a radar scope on there and you can see kind of that rotation where I thought in that indentation there, kind of to the south and east of the Montezuma area, or directly west of North English.
And it's common with squall lines like this that are moving across, so you can get these brief spin-ups that are on the leading edge of the storm, leading edge of that line. These brief areas of rotation that can quickly drop a tornado, might do a little bit of damage, and then it goes right back up, and then it can keep doing that, keep cycling several times back and forth across these areas. So that's why there is a tornado warning currently is for right around Barnes City, just to the river, and also pretty close to the Montezuma area, although it has already moved out to the east of you. And then this will be moving into more of our main viewing area here. We've got Keokuk County down here to the south, and then Iowa County up here to the north. So Sigourney, also we're moving into the Millersburg area, eventually Williamsburg, Parnell, some of those areas might be impacted as well by this. So a tornado warning just off to your west. To that other tornado warning as well up around Benton County that we're watching. So 2 separate tornado warnings that we have going on right now for our viewing area. And besides that tornado threat, we have horrendous amounts of rain, wind, and hail all being reported from these storms, and now getting some reports in of actual damage being done by these storms. Again, emergency manager in Vinton reporting thunderstorm wind gusts of 70 miles an hour, widespread wind damage across western Benton County. That's a report that we just got in. And then also in Garrison, winds of 70 miles an hour, also widespread damage. We're not exactly sure what the damage is just yet, whether it's trees or whether it's structural, but we would imagine that it's possibly a combination of both. And then also Vinton, 70 mile an hour winds, widespread wind damage across western Buchanan County as well. Although, let's see, that would be in Benton County, even though the report's coming in. So Buchanan County, Benton County, I think they mean Benton County with that report. But still, Vinton, Garrison, all those areas starting to see problems, and a couple extra reports coming in right now. Marengo in Iowa County. We were just talking about the strong threat of winds going in your community. We're looking at winds of 60 to 70 miles an hour. We have tree limbs down by the high winds, and also estimated wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles an hour. This is really getting into a serious situation here. Again, for the Marengo area, 70 mile an hour plus winds pushing out. You can kind of see the leading edge of the storm that is bowing out, that is moving into these areas with some extremely strong winds. It's been a little while since we've kind of backed the radar out here a little bit. Let me step out of here for a second and let Jen just kind of give a quick rundown of all the alerts that are in effect just for our viewing area and how close we are getting now to these line of storms moving into the Cedar Rapids area. Waterloo, you're already getting impacted by this as we speak. Jen?
Yep, okay, so Fayette County, you have a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15. Also Buchanan County, back towards Bremer, and Blackhawk County until 3 o'clock. That does include the Waterloo area. All of Benton County is under a severe thunderstorm warning, but we still have that tornado warning here for another 10 minutes or so in Benton County as well. And then down farther to the south, we'll move that down here, and well, we will go back to the area. There we go. Farther to the south, we have all of Iowa County under a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15. We've had reports now of 70 mile an hour winds or more. All of Keokuk County now under severe thunderstorm warning, with that tornado warning in Mahaska and Powesheik County. Pretty much, it looks like we're seeing those straight line winds coming out of the storm at 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, which can do as much damage as a weak tornado. So even if you don't have a tornado warning, you're going to be some winds, especially from here on down, coming out of these storms. And they are going to be out in front of the rain more than likely. And then you're going to get the heavy rainfall. I would say it's going to be very similar to Cedar Rapids that we saw about 2 weeks ago from today, seeing that damage on the southwest side of town. So I'm going to go a little closer here and down the line so you can see exactly town by town where that heavy rainfall is. So Fayette, Sumner, Olwine, Independence seeing some of that heavier rainfall. Farther down to the south, Vinton just getting to the heaviest of it, but like we've already heard reports of damage in Vinton, it was out in front of that rainfall. Van Horn, Belle Plaine, and Marengo getting on the edge of that rain. There is Cedar Rapids, so it's not too far away. You will be getting the wind before you get that rainfall, Cedar Rapids. Williamsburg and North English, you're going to be seeing the winds shortly, along with Sigourney, with that heavy rain back towards Brooklyn, Montezuma, and the Oskaloosa area.
And Jen, let me have you take it back up closer into Linn County. We're just getting reports now. The Linn County Fair, of course, this is the last day of the fair. We're just getting reports in that they are telling people to get to shelters right now, that they are closing down operations, at least temporarily, as this storm system is moving in. Lynn County Fair is going to be in the Central City area. It's in Central City itself, rather. So folks here starting to take preparations for the fact that we've got a big line of storms that it's going to be moving through within about the next hour to an hour and a half, that everyone across Lynn County is going to be impacted by this storm. So Lynn County Fair is starting to head indoors. We have also sent out the CBS 2 Road Warrior. I believe in northern Lynn County is where we are located right now. Nick Weig, our storm chaser, is out there. And Nick, if I could bring you in to help us out with this coverage, what have you been seeing so far? Are you able to see that line that's out to the west? What is your vantage point right now, Nick?
Well, Corey, Aaron Gerhardt and I have decided to stop the Road Warrior in northern Lynn County and just let the storm come to us. We're watching that rotation area in the Benton and kind of approaching the northern Newhall area as it's heading our way. There's not a lot of definition in the structure that we're seeing. We're still a little bit of a distance from the storm right now. But because of their speed and because of the terrain in this area, we decided to kind of hang back and let the storm come to us, and we'll see what happens once it approaches us. Again, we're in northern Lynn County, approximately 4 to 5 miles south of Center Point, and we're going to be keeping ourselves in the path of the storm and see what exactly it's producing as it heads our way. Corey?
Well, I can give you an idea of what to expect at this point now. The National Weather Service just issued a severe thunderstorm warning now for Lynn County that could include 80-mile-an-hour winds. So please find a location that you can quickly take shelter if you and Aaron do need to duck out of the Road Warrior briefly, just because we do have some very strong winds that are coming in. Also, the potential for some half-dollar size hail, 1.25 inches in diameter. Again, Lynn County now included in a severe thunderstorm warning. That'll go until 3:15. And let's see, I think there was one other county that was also included in that, also portions of Benton and Iowa counties, also now until 3:15. It's really this entire line of storms that we're watching. There's so many alerts that are on here. All the orange ones that you're seeing, those are severe thunderstorm warnings, but we still have that tornado warning that is right in here for Tama County for at least the next 5 minutes. Jen, let's zoom right back in on that tornado warning just to give folks a little bit more information on that. We're trying to keep everyone updated the best that we can on all the threats that are going through. They are numerous. We're looking at very strong straight line winds that are now moving through Benton County. We've had reports of damage in Vinton. We've had reports of damage in Garrison, just off to the southwest. Not exactly sure what that damage is just yet, but very strong winds being reported by the emergency managers in Benton County. And that's what our concern is as those winds now move into the Cedar Rapids area, we'll also likely see some damage. And the strongest winds are going to be right on the leading edge of this storm. Like Jen mentioned, a couple of weeks ago, we had a similar situation where a big line of storms came through and did quite a bit of damage, especially on the southwestern side of Cedar Rapids. This could be a very similar type event as it's moving through right now. The latest radar scan definitely puts that in a lot closer. We're just on the outskirts now of the Cedar Rapids metro area, not quite into it just yet. Jen?
Tornado sirens are going off here in Cedar Rapids. We can hear them at the station. It's not because of tornado warning. They do send them off here in Lynn County if there is winds over 70 miles per hour in a thunderstorm warning. So we have 80-mile-an-hour winds possible with this, so that's why they are sending off the sirens in Lynn County right now, and possibly probably Johnson County as well.
Yeah, many communities likely hearing those outdoor sirens, and the threat is real. Even though we don't necessarily have a tornado warning for Cedar Rapids right now, we're looking at some very strong winds, and there is definitely rotation that has been embedded within that line of rain. That's why we still have this tornado warning that's in effect for portions of Tama County. So there could be some brief spin-ups along that line as well, but it's straight line winds, heavy rains, flash flooding, and even some hail that we're watching out for this line as it's moving through. We're just about to get it into the Cedar Rapids area. Again, I can hear those sirens as well right here at Broadcast Park. So if you are hearing those, take shelter. Even though, again, it's not a tornado warning for Lynn County, it's a severe thunderstorm warning. You don't want to be outside. This is going to be a very powerful storm with some very strong winds. Get indoors, get into a shelter with a severe thunderstorm warning. Still, don't be near windows because it could possibly blow out windows with winds up to 80 miles an hour, and you could be possibly injured by any flying debris that would be in the area. Jen continues to move the radar up here to the north. Looks like we've got a couple of new warnings up here as well.
Yep, a couple new warnings. We actually have Travis McBride, who is in Independence right now, on the phone with us. Travis, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys.
What are you seeing as those storms and heavy rain are pushing through the Independence area right now?
Well, I tell you what, right now I'm a little bit perplexed at what's going on. I'm looking to the west out my front window here as the storm has been rolling through for about 5 minutes now. But as about 30 seconds ago, when you guys were talking about the warning sirens in Lynn County, Independence sirens actually are now going off as we speak. So I'm sorry if that's on in the background, but the winds are actually now just starting to die down a little bit as the gust front has pushed through. It actually looks like we just have power here in town as well in some spots. So something seems to be going on in town, but I know we've had straight line wind gusts, maybe the west-northwest vicinity, upwards of 75, 80. So that would be probably right in line with what you guys have been talking about. But we've got a scattering of, some branches and twigs and different limbs from trees being blown around the yard. So definitely would agree with what the radar is showing right now.
And what would you say as far as the rainfall? Is it coming down pretty heavy as of right now, as we're kind of seeing that heavy band push into the Independence area?
It's a little hard to tell. It's whatever is coming down is blowing so hard. It's actually looking like fog at this point. It's so thick and being blown so hard at this point horizontally that my vantage point to the west, where I can only see to the fairgrounds about 2-3 blocks west of me, I can only see maybe about a block to Highway 150. So it's definitely maybe a quarter-mile visibility with this rain right now. But
Okay, it sounds like we may have lost Travis there, but that was Travis McBride calling from the Independence area, where there is a severe thunderstorm warning for that county. Buchanan County here under that, right in the middle of it. He said some straight line winds with this, possibly 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, and also some very heavy rainfall. Now, just up to the north, I will say the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. I'm going to leave it up to Corey on what we do here, but we're going to go through the warnings here because we have a lot of them. Fayette County.
Try to get to Road Warrior too, if we could. I just want to check with the booth. Do we have Nick available? Okay. Before we get through those warnings, I wanted to head back out to Road Warrior and just get a quick picture there because the storm's getting much closer into that position. Nick, are you still able to hear us?
Yeah, Corey, we are waiting for the shelf to pass over us right now. We can see a pretty significant hail core behind it. You might see that strong green color behind the shelf. This is approaching the county home and Interstate 380 area. Should be here in just a matter of minutes. Very intense lightning, winds slowly beginning to pick up, and very fast-moving shelf cloud right now. So undoubtedly some strong wind gusts within the shelf on the leading edge as these storms come through. And then it looks like there's a danger of some rather large hail on the back side of this, especially due west of Cedar Rapids heading into the metro area.
And you mentioned that green color. That is often indicative of some hail that would be within that storm. The sunlight, as it gets refracted through the thunderstorm, it tends to produce kind of that greenish color when we do have a large amount of hail that would be involved with this storm. And again, the hail could be anywhere from $half to ping pong ball size hail. We're looking at hail of 1.25 inches up to 1.5 inches in diameter. Certainly could do some damage in addition to the winds. But you said it looks like the winds haven't quite gotten too strong where you're at right now, right, Nick?
That's right. We are about to get under the shelf right now. We can see visibility quickly becoming poor to our west, and we expect to see some very strong wind gusts here within the next few seconds.
Okay. We'll be checking back in with you as soon as possible, just once that storm gets a bit closer. But please, again, make sure that you are in a safe position there. And we would encourage anybody who is watching us or listening to us, if you're driving anywhere in these areas, Lynn County, Johnson County up to the north, and Buchanan County, try to pull over and find a safe place to just ride this out. This is not a good time to be out driving your car, or certainly to be outdoors. Also, just getting word that the Colonels had a baseball game going on right now. They're starting to take precautions as well and starting to take shelter. Let's get back over to radar. Jen was going to run through those warnings real quickly just to give an update. We have a couple of new ones now pushing out to our far eastern counties. Now as this line gets a little bit closer into our main viewing area. Those warnings keep getting extended, now going all the way out to the Mississippi River. Jen?
Yep, the newest one is Clayton County, pretty much the southern half of Clayton County until 3:45. Severe thunderstorm warning capable of 60-mile-an-hour winds or quarter-size hail. Fayette County until 3:15. All of Delaware County is now in a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30, and then just the eastern half of Buchanan County until 3:30 as well. But you can see still some heavy rain all the way back to Iowa Falls, Waterloo area. Now farther down the south, that's where we're seeing some of these stronger winds, over 80 miles per hour possible here. Lynn County is under severe thunderstorm warning in Benton County till 3:15. Johnson County here doesn't want to pick up for me, but that is the same as the Lynn County one till 3:15 as well. And then down here towards Iowa County till 3:15, and then all of Keokuk County until 3:15 as well. And we've had some reports, if we can go to the Des Moines one there for a second, thunderstorm damage in Traer. This is where this all started with that possible tornado. It says trees over power lines, semi-trailer tipped over, and damage to houses being reported with the thunderstorm wind gusts in the town of Traer in Tama County.
Certainly something that we were anticipating with this strong line of storms that's coming through, to hear some of those types of reports. Certainly not something that we wanted to hear. We were hoping, of course, that we could avoid any damage with these storms, but certainly, yeah. Let's head out to a camera that we have right here at Broadcast Park, as I'm just hearing the rain that's hitting us tremendously here. This is what it looks like outside our station. The heaviest rain has arrived. The strongest winds have arrived in Cedar Rapids, and it is possible that we could be seeing some damage from these winds around town now. Power outages, something certainly that we're going to be watching out for here in the next few minutes to see if we get reports of that, as trees undoubtedly will be impacted. Whether entire trees get blown over, at least tree limbs, could certainly pose an issue to power lines within the area. So if you do lose power briefly, that would likely be just because of the straight line winds that we're seeing. Again, possibly up to 80 miles an hour coming through with this storm, and just torrential rains.
It's like when it came over the station, before we went to the station, we heard a whoosh of water and wind going right over the station. So that's an indication of what is going on out there.
Right where I'm standing over by the green screen, there is kind of a vent that is in the ceiling right above me. And I can just hear that rain echoing as it's bouncing off of the roof. I was a little concerned it might have been hail at first, but it appears, of course, that we're looking at the rain and some very strong winds that are pushing through the area right now. Let's get back to radar if we could.
Yep, and we've had measured now in Lynn County of a 71-mile-an-hour wind gust from the ASOS automated site at the airport.
Very powerful winds that are pushing in with this storm right now. We do still have a tornado warning that was in Mahaska and Poweshiek counties. Is that correct? Is that one still in effect, Jen?
Yep.
Okay.
This is still Poweshiek and Mahaska County till 3 o'clock. As these storms are moving, though, I'd say it's probably already out of that area just because it was on the leading edge of that storm.
Yeah.
But out in front of this winds, we've had 71-mile-an-hour reported at the Eastern Iowa Airport. We could get up to 80-mile-an-hour winds. That could do as much damage as a weak tornado could do. Now, still seeing some rotation with that, and we are seeing some lightning strikes here at the station, so we'll have to turn some lights back on. But take a look at that. That is our road warrior out on County Home Road. You cannot see. Just 2 minutes ago, we were there, and it was perfectly clear. You could see the storm counts coming in. It is now very almost foggy. You can't see very far. You can see the wind blowing there. So this is what's coming through Lynn County, Johnson County, Benton County, pretty much all these southeastern counties. This is what you're going to be expecting here. So Cedar County, Jones County, you're going to be in line for this. Washington County, this is your heads up now that it is coming. You need to start preparing now.
Yeah, sorry, we briefly lost light in the studio for just a second there. So I want to come back out on the green screen just with this storm that's coming over. It's hitting us at Broadcast Park as we're speaking. We're not under a tornado threat right now in Cedar Rapids, but we certainly have very strong winds that are pushing through. We're going to stay on the air here with you until this storm has moved past, at least through our main populated viewing areas. We do still have, again, that tornado warning that's down here to the southwest. It is our policy that we stay on for tornado warnings, but even the severe thunderstorm warning that we're seeing right here with these incredible winds also warrant this coverage that we're trying to bring you right now. As you see, there is kind of a bowing out of this line that is moving right through the Cedar Rapids area. That's where we're going to see some of the strongest winds now heading out toward Mount Vernon. Heads up, anybody on Highway 30. These areas could possibly be in line for the strongest winds, 70-mile-an-hour plus winds, maybe up to 80 miles an hour as this storm system is pushing out to the east. We also have threats for a lot of hail and wind and rain up to the north, but we've really been focusing in on this area mainly because, again, we did have rotation earlier in Tama County with a tornado. Not currently seeing a tornado in this line, but we do certainly have very strong winds as it is pushing out right now, and then the torrential rains as well. Flash flood warnings also starting to pop up there out to the west, right, Jem?
Just a second, Corey. We're getting
right.
scanner traffic here in Lane County. The Cedar Rapids scanner traffic is talking about a possible tornado touching down in Cherry Hill Park here in Cedar Rapids with some confirmed injuries. Our news crews is calling, of course, the Sheriff's Department to confirm that. But we are working on that. But a possible tornado, we're trying to talk with the National Weather Service as of right now. According to the scanner traffic, which is just reports coming into the police departments, possible tornado, Cherry Hill Park in Cedar Rapids with some injuries.
Okay. We'll let you go ahead and take care of that situation, try to get some more information on that as I continue to at least keep you updated on what's happening here with radar. We have severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect for Lynn County, down through Johnson County, also back to the west in Iowa and Benton counties, and then all the way as you head down toward the Oskaloosa and Sigourney areas as well. Keokuk County currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. Washington County has not been included yet, but I imagine that you will eventually get a severe thunderstorm warning for that line that's pushing through. And I can tell you, just standing here in Broadcast Park in our studios, I can hear the thunder that is just rumbling outside our building. The rain is hitting us so hard that it's so loud here in the studio with all that rain that is just Jones can
The possibility damaging 17 north of town. Also getting because of power outages. There's the look at the numbers. 38, continuing to track that closely, over 3,000 in Lincoln. Flashes here at the station. That power outage is probably down across at least the southwest side of Cedar Rapids right now.
just bring up our Tiffany O'Donnell. Bring her in to help with our coverage here for the perspective. Watch in the community. What
here at the, as you, a lot of friends call and text in the community. Southeast side, Indian Creek, Erskine, I'm hearing is uprooted in that area, and we're from there looking at a line. It looks you can see county, which had it all there, but through there where lots of them over. That's what I'm hearing. They're staying out summer vacation, so you've got a lot of families at home with kids at home. All been advised that, you know, but just get things are a gust of wind come through there. Tough time for families with kids at home right now, too.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we do not have a tornado warning on this storm that's moving through, but we do have some incredibly strong winds that are knocking trees over, knock down power lines. We're looking at power outages, and also, of course, trees could do a lot of other damage if they're right near your home. So we're asking you to stay away from the windows of your home if you're in any of these areas, as you could see some debris that might be flying around with this storm. That would be in the Mount Vernon area. Again, heading out along Highway 30 out toward Clarence. You're going to pass through Mechanicsville. You're going to pass through Lisbon. Some of those areas also dealing with that. Morley, Olin, Oxford Junction, a little bit farther up to the north. And then, of course, Wyoming, where we were tracking some severe weather from last night as well. You're all going to be in line for these extremely strong winds that are coming through at least 70 miles an hour. That's what's been reported, but the National Weather Service has warned these areas for the potential for 80-mile-an-hour winds. That also does include Tipton down here in Cedar County, all the way down to West Branch, I-80, Iowa City, now getting the heaviest rains right there in Johnson County, and then also heading out toward Bennett. We haven't really zoomed in on Iowa City too much just yet because we hadn't seen the storm get to you, but now certainly looks like Iowa City also getting in on the act with some very heavy rains that are coming through portions of Johnson County. And again, the strongest winds are going to be just out ahead of that, possibly already having gone through the Iowa City area. Jen?
And we've had reports of the Iowa City area of 55-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so not quite as strong as the just north of there, where the big kind of bulge in the storm is, where we're seeing more of that 70, 80 from, I'd probably say, Tipton area, Clarence, Morley, Olin, Anamosa. That's where I'd say some of those stronger winds are right now. So Tipton, Loudon, Clarence, Bennett, Oxford Junction, Olin, Wyoming. You need to be getting ready because this is coming your area, and that is still producing those very strong winds, kind of where you're seeing it jet out there, pushing through Mechanicsville.
Yeah, this is what we call a Boeing line segment. Essentially, it starts to take on the shape of a backwards C. What's happening is that you have winds that are pushing from west to east out across that line and pushing that line out ahead of, at least this portion of the line, out ahead of the rest of the thunderstorm line. And that shows us on radar that we have extremely strong winds anywhere that you see that white line that Jen has just highlighted. It stretches from northern Linn County, heading right through the Linn County Fairgrounds in Central City, out through portions of Jones County, down into Cedar County, Highway 30, and then all the way down into Iowa City. Like Jen mentioned, Iowa City, the winds strong, but not quite as strong as what we're seeing for some of these other communities. I would imagine Anamosa, definitely dealing with some strong winds at the moment, Morley, and then again heading down toward Highway 30. Jen, let's go ahead and zoom out, put a storm track on that again, just to time it out, as it's been a couple of radar scans now that we've gotten in, just to be able to give folks an idea of when these really strong winds are going to be impacting their communities.
I'm going to take this out about 45 miles per hour. It is moving very quickly, but here's kind of the rundown of those towns. Still in the path. We've been talking about Olin at 3:14, so about 4 minutes, Olin. You got time to get into the shelter, get the car in the garage. That is about it because those strong winds will be on top of you. Stanhope at 3:14, Tipton 3:17, Clarence 3:20, Wyoming 3:24, Oxford Junction at 3:27, Bennett 3:28, Loudon 3:29, and Wheatland at 3:35. So anywhere between about 4 minutes from now up to maybe about 20 minutes on lead time there, but still seeing strong winds and some very heavy rainfall. We've had a report of Dunkerton in Black Hawk County of in 20 minutes, they have seen 2 inches of rainfall. So that's how quickly it's coming down, of course, leading to lots of flash flooding. Also, several reports in many areas of trees down, power lines down, twigs down. So definitely worrisome here. Of course, we are sending crews out here in Cedar Rapids to track the damage from it going through here, but still really watching out for the areas here in Cedar County, Jones County of the storm now just pushing into the area and producing 80-mile-an-hour winds or stronger and torrential rainfall.
I just wanted to head over to Tiffany. I believe she had a picture up on the desk
We do.
Go ahead.
This is actually just coming in from Iowa City, which, as you know, right now is getting the storm. But this was a little precursor. You can see the changing colors there of the storms between the front and then the lighter colors off in the distance. This coming in from Iowa City, where Jen just said 55-mile-an-hour winds there, too. So certainly can do some damage there. Not any reports yet of power outages in that area and in Johnson County yet. Waterloo, though, we do know has around 4,800 customers, Mid-American customers, now without power in Waterloo. Again, this picture, though, much different. Now, I see the road warrior up now again, Corey. Is that Nick out there? Is he still in Lynn County? Yeah, take a look at those sheets of rain. This is still coming down in Lynn County. They've just kind of parked in one spot, anticipating that storm to roll through. Take a look at that car driving through in the water underneath it there as it goes over those roads. Again, can't stress it enough. When the rain comes down that fast and that hard, driving very slow speeds, you hydroplane instantly. So if you don't have to be out, certainly don't go out, but be careful if you need to be out there. Again, that road warrior, important to note, has been parked waiting for the storm to come to it to bring us these live real-time pictures for you. There you see a city truck going by there too, and you can begin to see that water pooling up on the side of the road too, Corey.
Yeah, that's going to be the big threat once the winds pass through is the flash flooding that we're going to see on the backside of this system. You can certainly see the visibility has improved somewhat there for Road Warrior compared to what it was before. They may decide to venture out there. Nick, let's bring you back in here and tell us what your experience has been like. Looks like you guys are on the move again after that torrential downpour and all the winds that you guys were experiencing.
Yeah, Corey, we are finally able to see our surroundings right now, which we haven't been able to see for about 15 or 20 minutes because of the intense wind and rain. Right now, we are still along County Home Road. There's intense rainfall that has produced some flash flooding, which hopefully you can see right now. What you can also see in the image is some very significant tree damage. We are just in front of a farmstead where a large tree has been splintered. It is down on the ground. We have seen a number of trees in this area that have either been taken down or large portions of them have been taken down. But for the first time, we're finally getting a look at our surroundings. We got ourselves in a position away from power lines, away from the trees. We got ourselves into the wind so that the vehicle would not be damaged. But now we're going to start moving and seeing some of the damage that we couldn't see until now. But some very heavy rainfall is flooding the farmland right now, and some very significant tree damage up here in northern Lynn County.
Speaking of, Nick, of that heavy rainfall, they've now issued a new flash flood warning for Benton, Cedar, Iowa, Johnson, Jones, and Lynn County. So pretty much this area where the storm is pushing through with the wrong winds now have flash flood warnings to worry about.
And that flash flood warning going all the way until 9:15. We appreciate the report, Nick. As you head out to look for any storm damage, again, just keep us up to date on what you find. We'll be checking back in with you in just a moment. I did want to clarify one thing real quickly as I step right back in here. The reports that we were getting in Iowa City of 55-mile-an-hour winds that we were reporting on to you earlier, those were actually reported, at least as far as what I'm getting from the National Weather Service, as 55 knots, not miles per hour. So actually miles per hour, it'd be a little bit stronger. That'd be closer to about 63 miles an hour if you do the conversion. So 60-mile-an-hour plus winds that were in Iowa City. Not the strongest winds that we've seen with this line. That's actually more where Jen is taking the radar here up through Anamosa. Again, just about to move out to Clarence. Just this past week, I actually had a chance to go out to Clarence for their summer library reading program. I met out there with several of the kids there in the community. We talked about some of the severe storms that you get here in Iowa and the dangers that come with that. And so hopefully those kids, along with their families, are taking the necessary precautions. But it's amazing how quickly things can change. You can go from, like what we saw on the road earlier, from hardly anything happening to all of a sudden zero visibility, and then eventually you get back to being able to at least see your surroundings like Nick was talking about. But if you're in Clarence, if you're in Tipton, you're just about to go into the zero visibility portion of this storm. It's likely that you're not necessarily seeing the worst of this just yet. You might be getting some strong winds with the gust front, those outflow winds that are coming in ahead of the storm. but the visibility is going to be dropping possibly down to 0 in just a minute or so as that heavy line of storms does push out to the east. Again, this Boeing segment that's starting to push out to the east. Anything that kind of looks like a backwards C here on the radar, that's indicative of extremely strong winds. And here's the timing that you could expect for these communities. Tipton at 3:22, about 5 minutes from right now. Clarence 3:23, Wyoming at 3:27, Oxford Junction at 3:30, Loudon 3:33, Bennett 3:33, Wheatland at 3:39, Lost Nation 3:40, and Calamus at 3:45 is when we're expecting to see the storm in your area. We've focused in on this portion of the line of thunderstorms for the majority of our coverage here, just because, again, that is where we're seeing the strongest winds, but we don't want to leave other areas out, and that's why Jen will continue to kind of move the radar around. We'll head up to the northeast. You can see now southwestern portions of Wisconsin getting into the act here now, with both Clayton and Grant counties under a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45. That is for some 60-mile-an-hour winds and also for some quarter-size hail. And then Delaware County until 3:30, again for some 60-mile-an-hour winds. Dubuque County, not currently in a severe thunderstorm warning. Likely going to be getting one fairly soon, I would imagine, as this line continues to push out to the east. And then we do have severe thunderstorm warnings that run all the way through portions of Cedar and Jones counties, and then down to the south, of course, into Johnson County as well, is where we're watching all of this activity that's moving through. So a wind threat, possibly still some rotation embedded within that line. We're still efforting to try to get some information of a tornado report that we had that was in Cedar Rapids from earlier. Jen, I just wanted to ask you again, did you get any other information from that initial report that we had?
Have not heard any more information from that report from the newsroom.
And where did that report come in from?
It was on the police scanners.
Okay.
Came in on the scanner saying that the possible tornado touching down near Cherry Hill Park with some confirmed injuries. So it could have just been the straight line winds. 80-mile-an-hour winds will do damage just like a tornado and come up just like that, like we saw on RoadWire. It was clear one minute, the next minute you couldn't see anything. So people could have thought it was a tornado. Could be a tornado, I'm not ruling that out, but could be the straight line winds as well. But Cherry Hill Park area, possibility there, and we're probably sending crews out here shortly to go check it out once the storm kind of calms down a bit, so we don't put our reporters in danger as well. Yeah, we'll keep a close watch on that situation. I want to head over to Tiffany on the news desk as well for some more updates. Tiffany?
Yeah, and as a mom with kids at home, I can tell you, I can speak to all the parents out there who may be stuck at work wondering if their kids are okay. I know those pools all have emergency procedures in place to make sure everybody stays safe. So we are certainly efforting that information for you out at Cherry Hill. Knowing it's summer vacation, there are lots of people out trying to enjoy the pool today. Cedar Rapids Police Department certainly very busy right now, and we're efforting conversation with Department of Public Safety. So I'll get that to you as soon as we can get that out of the newsroom. Just want to show you a big number here coming in from Alliant. This is Lynn County alone, 32,000 plus customers without power right now. Unless they're watching me streaming live at cbs2iowa.com, they aren't going to see me on their television sets, but it gives you a real indication of the power of this brief storm and these 80-mile-per-hour winds. That's about a third of the customers we estimate at Alliant in Lynn County alone currently without power. We'll take a look now at our Skycam over Cedar Rapids, and cars still moving along Collins Road, but we can at least see through the camera there, because just not very long ago, maybe 20 minutes ago, there was just sheets of wind and rain blowing past that camera. That's a live look right now at our Weatherford Skycam over Collins Road and the shops there along there. Still a few cars there driving around. That storm dumping a couple inches of rain in just a real short time. So again, it looks better in Lynn County, but certainly left problems now with flash flooding issues, Corey.
For sure, and just wanted to update that the flash flood warning that had just been issued does include now Lynn County and some surrounding areas. Jen was also putting up some of the lightning that we have seen with this storm, which has been incredible. Just like last night, an amazing light show that Mother Nature is putting on. We like to reserve those light shows for July 4th, but unfortunately we're getting it a little bit too early. Mother Nature putting on her own version of some fireworks here across eastern Iowa with all these big thunderstorms that are going through. Jen's highlighting all the flash flood warnings that are in effect right now. These are going until, let's see, go back to the flash flood warnings if we could. Just wanted to see the expiration time, 9:15 for Benton County, for Lynn County, for Iowa County. So about 6 hours from now. The reason why they issued that warning so far out in advance, or at least into the advanced time in the future, is that we're not exactly sure where all the water's eventually going to run sometimes. Obviously, it's going to try to find the easiest path that it can get to, the path of least resistance. It eventually gets down into those major creeks and the streams, and the rivers will be rising. But there's other areas that can still be dealing with some flash flooding. We could see street flooding in many areas. So that's what we're going to be watching for across a lot of these areas back behind the main line of thunderstorms. Let's get back for another check on Road Warrior once again. Nick Weig and also Aaron Gerhardt out surveying for some areas. That does not look like safe driving practices from somebody who just kind of blasted through some water there, but might be some folks responding to some damage, obviously, that we're seeing here. Nick, catch us up on what you're seeing.
Yeah, Corey, we're unfortunately going to have to leave this area because there's a pretty significant damage right here, and we want to make sure that we're out of the way of everybody who needs to respond to this. It looks like a large machine shop or shed has been destroyed. There's a number of vehicles there, and the shed was ripped apart by the winds or whatever hit it. We don't know if there was anybody hurt. The people who own the residence told our Aaron Gerhardt that everyone is okay, but they're just coming to grips with what happened, and then we felt like we needed to get out of there and just let them take care of their business. So a lot of emergency crews are out here right now along County Home Road. We've seen significant tree damage just about everywhere we go. Shortly, you're going to see a fire truck passing through the shop. But again, a lot of damage all over here in northern Lynn County, up in the Albernet areas near County Home Road.
You're essentially between Albernet and Highway 13. Is that where you are right now?
We're actually a little bit further west of there now, a little bit closer to Interstate 380.
Okay.
The damage has been pretty widespread. One other thing I wanted to point out, we can't really show you on the image, is there is significant crop damage around here. Farmers are going to have a really hard time. A lot of the corn has been snapped, bent, not salvageable. So the wind was extensive. It lasted for an extremely long time. I've never seen severe winds last as long as it did up in this area. So the damage is very widespread, and we're going to continue to see what we can find, but stay out of the way of the crews who are responding to it.
Well, we appreciate the report there. Obviously, that is not anything that we wanted to see, either the structural or the crop damage. Obviously impacting so many folks who live in our community. Weather, it can be a beast sometimes. Mother Nature just sometimes unleashes her fury, and you just never know exactly when it's going to hit. And sometimes it might be other communities, and sometimes it may be your own. And unfortunately, it looks like a lot of our own communities are getting hit by the worst of this storm here for today, with that wind damage, with the flooding rains, and again, of course, the hail and possibly even some tornadoes that we have had reports of earlier from today. Currently, just want to catch up on the situation. I do not believe that we have any tornado warnings in effect. Jen, have you seen anything else that's been issued around that Mahaska and Poweshiek areas? Looking at the radar here, at least, it looks like we just have the severe thunderstorm warnings. There were not any other tornado warnings issued, right?
No tornado warnings. The newest warning is for Dubuque County. This does include the Dubuque area. You would be 60-mile-an-hour winds, torrential rain, and possibly quarter-size hail. The leading edge of the storm that has been producing all this heavy rainfall is continuing to slide, kind of starting to get out of our viewing area, but there's the southern tips of those storms. You see nothing severe there. It's all really out on the leading edge of this storm. As far as the warning still in effect for us, Jones County till 3:45, Delaware 3:30, Dubuque 4 o'clock, Jackson County 3:45, Cedar 3:45, Johnson 3:45 as well. Lynn County, you are not under a severe thunderstorm warning anymore, but you are under a flash flood warning until 9:15, along with Benton, Blackhawk, Bremer, Fayette, Pretty much everywhere it has rained today. You under a flash flood warning till later on this evening, but all the warnings are out in front of it now. Our northern counties are starting to push into the Grant and Crawford County, Wisconsin, and Clayton County, pushing towards Dubuque, and then that leading edge still just starting to push out of Jones County into Jackson County and out of Cedar County into Clinton County down there.
Okay. If we could, let's zoom back in on this area and get a storm track then on that line that's going to be pushing in across portions of Jackson County there as well, and also out toward the Clinton area. We don't have as many viewers that are out in these areas. These are more of our fringe counties, but we still want to make sure that people out here know what is going to be coming your direction out toward the Maquoketa area and again out toward DeWitt. We're looking at Loudon, 331, Bennett, 332, Cascade at 333, Lost Nation at 337, Wheatland at 338, Calamus at 344, Maquoketa 349, Grand Mound at 352, and Delmar at 353. So sometime within the next half hour, all of those cities are going to be impacted by this line of storms that's moving out to the east. It is packing winds of anywhere from 70 to 80 miles an hour, possibly even some embedded rotation that might briefly produce a funnel, maybe even a brief touchdown of a tornado. Although, again, at the moment, there are no tornado warnings. It is just the severe thunderstorm warning that we have with us. At least for right now, I would like to still stay on the air for a little bit while this threat is still over Cedar and Jones counties, just to be able to make sure that we're giving people the information here. We do want to eventually send you back to regular programming here, but this is obviously impacting so much of our viewing area that we want to give everybody the information that they need to try to stay safe. We're dealing with flooding rains. We're dealing with extremely strong winds. We've also got some hail out of these storms, and you're likely going to see street flooding across much of the viewing area, right in the corridor. Johnson County, Lynn County, surrounding counties, Cedar, Jones, out to the west, Iowa, Benton counties, all of those areas, possible street flooding. Do not drive through flooded streets. If you cannot see the pavement, you don't want to be driving through it because you don't know exactly how deep that water is going to be, and you possibly could get stalled out like many of the vehicles that we saw from last night. At this point, we're going to head out to one of our reporters, Kevin Berry, who's been out checking some of the conditions in Cedar Rapids. I imagine the roads are pretty waterlogged, Kevin. What have you been seeing so far?
Hey, yeah, Corey, it honestly depends on the part of town. I was just down in the southeast side, and there are trees down everywhere. Literally every street has some kind of thing near it or nearby it. And then as I was driving up First Ave, actually heading back up towards the northeast side, towards Broadcast Park, First Avenue is completely closed now. The police have blocked off both sides of First Avenue. They're directing people down 21st Street, and it looks like one of the streets up a little bit farther north. I can't quite see the road sign there. There's a car in the middle of the road that's completely smashed up. The back windshield is out. The trunk is smashed in. It looked like a light pole fell on it. I obviously don't know if it was driving at the time, but the car is clearly probably totaled, and it looks like Alliant Energy is here as well. Also worth noting that there are stoplights and traffic lights out all over town. So in addition to the fact that the water levels are high and you probably won't be able to make it through if you can't see the pavement like you just mentioned there, just basic navigating of the streets is pretty hard just because there are no lights at any of the major intersections or even some of the smaller ones that still have stoplights all around Cedar Rapids. Again, though, here on First Avenue, completely closed down, heading up towards the northeast side. There's a disabled car in the middle. It looks like a light pole fell on the back of it. And police are making sure to keep people away from that. Allied Energy is here.
Okay, Kevin, thank you very much for updating us there on what's happening. Obviously, a lot of safety issues for folks in Cedar Rapids with these strong winds that have come through, blowing trees down, possibly blocking roads, causing power issues. There's a live image. Is this the Road Warrior, I'm assuming? Okay. Nick, are you still with us? Nick's not able to hear us. That's okay. But this is a live image from the Road Warrior. They have been driving around through northern Lynn County. They've been across portions of County Home Road, around the Albernet areas. Last that we heard from them, they were moving a little bit west of Albernet, out closer to I-380, moving up through other portions of northern Lynn County. Not exactly sure where this is, but it looks like we have a sizable tree that's down over the road. Emergency responders, of course, are out there and trying to assess the damage and to assess what needs to be done to take care of this. There's so much that is happening with all of the storms from last night that we had to clean up from, that to get a second round now, it's, I'm sure, just a lot to take for folks in our communities to get hit with 2 rounds of big storms. And it's certainly possible that, again, you could be seeing some flash flooding that's in your areas, and that's a big concern, even though these big thunderstorms are starting to move more out to the east. Jen?
First, Greg Bulow with the city of Cedar Rapids is saying that they are seeing lots of damage around the city. Crews are out all over for downed trees and power poles. They want people to try to stay home, to stay safe, because you're out there. You don't want to be coming up along the roadways that are blocked or inhibiting the people who are trying to clean up or save people. We also have Derek, who is one of our camera guys on the morning show. He is up in Waterloo right now. He's on the phone. Derek, what did you see up there when the storm pushed through Waterloo, and what are you seeing right now?
Hey, Jen. Well, I saw a lot of rain, a lot of wind, really intense wind and rain for a pretty short period of time. My power went out here up in Audubon Park section of Waterloo, kind of along the southern end by Highway 20. I'm sure there's a lot more people out here without power.
And I've heard reports you may have some water issues in your
Yep, I've got about ankle-high water in my basement right now. I actually just left because I think one of my walls started to buckle a little bit, and it was getting a little iffy. So without any power, I figured there wasn't much I could do. So I'm on my way to a friend's house right now to kind of wait this out.
And are you still seeing some heavy rainfall there right now?
It just stopped raining about 10, 15 minutes ago, real heavy. It's just kind of a light sprinkler right now. So hopefully it won't rain anymore here.
Okay, thank you, Derek, and hopefully everything's okay with your basement there with the water and possible wall. But that is something we're going to be seeing now with all this rain coming down. Several flash flood warnings, pretty much where it's rained north of Highway 20 down towards I-80. A lot of blue boxes there, and those stretch even out into the western part of the state with flash flood warnings. Some areas we've heard of over 2 inches of rain in 20 minutes. So that's an inch of rain in 10 minutes there. That leading edge of the storm still starting to push through the viewing area. We've had some reports down of some trees around Clayton County with the storms pushing through there. Haven't heard of actual wind gusts in that area, but I know in Fayette County they were up to 58 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts with that one. That storm is also pushing now into Dubuque County. So Dubuque, you will be seeing some very heavy rainfall. Last night we got pictures and reports of 2 to 3 feet of water going down Locust Street in Dubuque. Would not be surprised if we see some similar stuff happen here once this storm pushes through with that heavy rainfall. But first is going to be the gusty winds out in front of this that we really have to worry about. So Dubuque County, you do have that severe thunderstorm warning for another 4 minutes. Clayton County is until 3:45, and then right across the river, Grant County until 4:30. Now farther to the south, Cedar Rapids, we're still hearing some thunder strikes here at the station. Still seeing some light rain. The heaviest rain, though, now pushing towards the Maquoketa area. Would not be surprised if there's some very strong winds here, as you kind of see a little more of that bulge headed towards the Highway 61 area into Maquoketa. They are also still under that severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson and Scott, and also Clinton County, Jones County, and Cedar County here for another few minutes. And 80 mile an hour winds would not be out of the estimate there, pushing into the Maquoketa area or Highway 61. Also heavy rain along Highway 30. Still heavy rain down towards Iowa City, which is now not in a severe thunderstorm warning. Johnson County, you're out of that, but you are now under a flash flood warning because of the heavy rainfalls. Washington County, Keokuk County, still some light rain down there. But the heaviest is on this leading edge where we still have some severe thunderstorms, produced lots of damage, power outages with the wind, trees down in several locations. And this is a live look on our Road Warrior. We're going to check in Lynn County here. Nick, where are you at, and what have you been seeing out there as far as damage?
Jennifer, we haven't really had to go far to find the damage. What you're looking at is I believe it's Main Street heading into Robbins. We're just west of Robbins right now, just off of North Center Point Road. And some local residents, fortunately with chainsaws, are trying to clear the roadway. There are some very large trees that have come down. You can see one snapped in half and has fallen across the roadway. They are now trying to chainsaw that to clear the roadway into Robbins from the west. We have seen trees down just about everywhere we go. We saw one tree that came down on a residence very close to a gas line, but right now we did talk to authorities on the scene. There's no danger and no one was hurt there. We saw earlier a large machine shed that was blasted apart, and fortunately we did talk to some people there who said that nobody was hurt. But people are just starting to come out as the rain is beginning to let up and kind of get a view of what's going on out here. And as I said, just about everywhere we've gone in northern Lynn County, we're seeing damage just like what we're showing you right now.
Speaking of that, Nick, have you seen a lot of power lines down along with those trees, or is mainly some trees that are down right now?
So far, and I want to stress that we haven't gone to a large number of areas, but we have not seen any power lines down yet. Okay. I can tell you that when we were in the thick of it, we did see a lot of power poles that were swaying. We have seen a couple that were bent as we've been driving down area roadways, but we have not seen any power poles or power lines down just yet.
Okay, thank you, Nick, with the Road Warden. We'll continue to check back with you. I just want, before we toss to Tiffany here, I just want to stress this. Kids, if you're home from school on summer break, parents aren't home, do not play in the floodwaters. Do not go anywhere near any water that is in the roads, your backyard, or anything that is very dangerous. Also, do not go by any trees with downed limbs. They could, more could fall. And do not go near power lines that are down. You do not know if they're live. Let the city crews get out there, clean everything up. Don't try to go sightsee right now. If you want to help, that's great. Bring a chainsaw. But in the meantime, let everyone else fix this until you go and sightsee and try to see what is going on. But I'm going to toss to Tiffany at the news desk, who has some updates from social media, Tiff.
Important advice, Jen. Thank you so much. This is a picture coming into us from the northeast side. We're getting pictures from all over town, by the way. As our road warrior mentioned, not hard to find damage. This is northeast side at Center Point in Boyson. Next picture, this one's coming in. I'll see if I can make it a little bigger for you. That's coming in from the southeast side near Indian Creek, and that's a work truck there just crushed underneath that huge tree. Again, over on the southeast side, this is near 4th and 5th Avenues in Forest. Take a look at the trees. Now, no doubt this part of town has a lot of established older trees, but this neighborhood completely covered with limbs and leaves, some bigger than others. Again, you can see this is at 5th Avenue and Forest Drive Southeast. And right now, all we're hearing in Lynn County, it seems as though, is the thunder. But not long ago, this is what all those rains left. This is Marion. This is Doubletree in the city of Marion. And the person who sent me this picture, I'll try and zoom in again. You probably can't tell there. There's a car underneath that mess right there. These images, no doubt, being seen all across town. These mostly from Lynn County, but you can also see the water still pooling in the street. And as Jen mentioned, when you get those floodwaters running in between houses a lot of times, like little mini raging rivers, it can be pretty tempting for a kid to want to go out and get in that. Well, first of all, you've got the contaminants in it, the nasty stuff that can make you sick in there. But there's also little currents underneath there that can't always see, things that get dragged under there. So good advice from Jen earlier. Do not go out in that as this weather appears to subside, and make way for those emergency crews to get to folks. The pictures continue to come in, cbs2iowa.com. You can also send them to our Facebook page, KGAN CBS2, and we are happy to share those with our viewers, again, only if you're in a safe place to get pictures or video to do so. Corey, much calmer outside our doors here, but still fairly loud.
Yeah, and still a threat for a lot of our eastern communities. We're still showing you the radar there where we do have those severe thunderstorm warnings that are going through, and we're still efforting trying to bring you the latest information on the damage that has been done by this storm. Let me give you some of the latest reports from the National Weather Service of the damage that is coming in, and it's incredible what we're seeing here. Tiffany just mentioned the flooding, of course, that you see that's associated with this. I want to give you one report out of Ledora in Iowa County. Since 11 o'clock last night, a storm spotter now reporting 5.34 inches of rain. So more than 5 inches just since 11 o'clock last night. The monthly total for June in Ledora for this storm spotter, almost 16 inches of water now, officially 15.83. Also, southeast Cedar Rapids, thunderstorm wind damage, numerous trees and power lines down across the city. Of course, we've been reporting that from Kevin Barry earlier, but that's just one of the spotter reports that came in. In Robbins, 40-foot oak tree uprooted. Might have been exactly what we just saw there from the Road Warrior. Also, reports of trees down and roofs blown off from Palo towards Toddville out in Lynn County. That's from the Lynn County Emergency Manager. Again, trees down and roofs blown off from Palo towards Toddville. Estimated over 80-mile-an-hour winds with those areas. Also reports now of trees down near Lindale Mall and the cemetery in Cedar Rapids. So if you are in any of those areas, try to avoid there. And we're across First Avenue or Collins going through Lindale Mall and the cemetery. There are reports of trees down there. Also, 2 trees down in Cedar Memorial Cemetery, First Avenue blocked, estimated at 70 miles an hour winds that came through those areas. And then in Shoeyville, Johnson County, water or heavy rains ponding 2 to 3 inches deep. And then finally here, Iowa City, water on South Riverside Drive in Iowa City, 5 to 6 inches deep, and continuing to get more and more reports in here all the time. Just, again, unbelievable the amount of water that has been coming down with all these storms lately. Let me just come back in here to show you what we're dealing with. That line of storms pushing from Prairie du Chien down through Dubuque right now. You see the orange outlines. Those are the severe thunderstorm warnings. They're starting here out to the west, but still going out here to the east. So Dubuque County, Platteville down here across Grant County, and also up into Crawford County. You're still under the gun for some strong winds here, at least until 4 o'clock. As we head a little bit farther down to the south, we still have severe thunderstorm warnings for Jones County and for Cedar County until 3:45, and also does include portions of Jackson County. Jones County no longer under a severe thunderstorm warning, but we do have a flash flood warning. That is the blue outline that you see here that does go all the way down into the Lone Tree area. It does include Iowa City and, of course, up into Cedar Rapids as well. So many of these areas could be flooded with problems with the flash flooding from all the rain, or there might be trees that could be down. If you don't need to be out right now, best idea is to just stay home and wait, like Jen and like Tiffany have said, for the city crews to get out and try to clean up. If you have damage in your own neighborhood and you can safely do so, certainly do try to get out to clean up, and also send us your pictures if you can do from a safe place. But we do not want you putting yourself into any of these areas that might put you into harm's way. Let's get down to our Iowa City sky cam right now to show you what's happening there. We're still dealing with some heavy rains that are in the Iowa City area right now. Not a lot of visibility here on I-80, and that's certainly going to be a concern for anybody who's trying to travel in that area. The winds have subsided just a little bit in these areas. We're no longer warned for severe winds, but we still have torrential rains that are coming down. And again, like we just mentioned, we had a report coming out of Iowa County just off to the west of more than 5 inches of rain with these storms. And it just keeps coming. There's other rounds of rain that you see now here out across Grinnell, out toward Marshalltown, up toward Tama, Traer. A lot of these areas that just got hit earlier now getting a secondary line of rain that's coming through. The overall severe threat certainly starting to wind down across our viewing area. We do want to try to get you back to regular programming here now that that severe threat is winding down. However, we still want to stress that there is a very significant weather situation still ongoing here with that threat for some flash flooding and, of course, the damage that would have been done from these trees. I wanted to toss back over to Tiff for just one last second. Last time that we had checked, Lynn County had more than 30,000 people or 30,000 customers without power. Has that number changed at all? Has it gone up or down?
You know what? It actually hasn't, but I'm going to pull up some information. Let me just reload this here. I can give you an idea of the outage summary. It actually has gone up just a little bit to 35,155. That's just Lynn County alone. But now you see we've also added, Benton County was that way earlier, but Cedar now has almost 2,000 without, Johnson now with 3,200 without, and Keokuk with 2,300. And Mid-American was out as well, reporting outages in Waterloo. I do want to just give you some information here coming into us from Alliant Energy. And this may seem like some common sense information, but when you're thick of it, sometimes it just helps to be reminded. If you have a flooded out basement, which I know a lot of folks do right now, some safety tips to keep in mind. Certainly never walk through a flooded home. This is information that Alliant is sending us to remind you. If there's standing water in the home, call Alliant. Only start cleaning after all the power's been off. Don't use a gas appliance that's been flooded out. Don't place extension cords or appliances in water, and never handle electric appliances like a circuit breaker with wet hands. Make sure generators used for water removal are outside and vented properly. And again, keep those cords in a way, and never touch fallen power lines or anything that's in contact with the down power line. Moving on to gas. Obviously, get out. If there's a strong gas odor in your home or where you are, get out. Don't attempt to locate that. Call 911. Do not turn on or off any lights or switches, because that can certainly trigger a fire explosion there. And don't position or operate vehicles or equipment when leaking gas may be present. And this is important to note. Alliant is clear. They do not charge for flood-related disconnects and reconnects. Just some basics coming to us to remind us as we're all beginning the cleanup process in our homes, Corey.
And that cleanup's certainly going to take a good long time, likely for a lot of folks, whether it's the wind damage or it's the flood damage or possibly both in some locations. This is certainly going to take a while to recover from these 2 rounds of severe storms that we've had last night and again for today. Briefly, I wanted to head over to Jen for just one last second. Jen, if you could give us an idea of what watches are also still in effect. It looks like the main severe threat is moving out of our viewing area, at least for the severe winds, but I wanted to see what watches were still in effect. If you could go over those and give us kind of an idea of what you anticipate, since you've also been looking at some of the forecasts for the later portions of today, of what we might look at for the rest of this afternoon and evening. Jen?
Okay, we do have a tornado watch still in effect for much of our viewing area, central Iowa, until 7 o'clock tonight. Haven't heard any details if they're going to let this expire or not, but just quick, going to go back to radar here and pull it out so you can see what is coming out in the western part of the state. There is still some scattered showers out there, mainly to our north, but nothing severe as of right now. So most of the severe stuff is already through us, but that tornado watch until 7 o'clock. It does include Waterloo, Dubuque, Oelwein, Cedar Rapids, and Iowa City. And then a flash flood watch until tomorrow morning. That is all of our viewing area, and then back down towards the south and west towards Des Moines, and then back over towards Illinois and Wisconsin. Now, as far as what we've been looking at area-wide, it looks like most of this will be pushing out of the area here, I would say probably later on this evening. I think the back edge of it is that line that's back towards Fort Dodge, and then I think we will eventually start to get the rain out of here late this evening into the overnight hours, and then start to cool things off. And it looks like tomorrow our severe risk is none. There may be a little light rain, but I think that is about it as far as rain tomorrow. Nothing severe. The severe stuff looks, at least as of right now, there's no warnings in effect except for on that leading edge, which is good news. But I think the back edge of that rain now, Mason City down here towards Fort Dodge and Omaha, nothing else back behind that, and continues to push kind of east and northeast here, at least probably around through the supper time hour, if not maybe a little bit later.
And we'll certainly keep watching that secondary line of storms that Jen just highlighted there for the potential for any severe weather throughout the rest of the afternoon and evening. But at least for right now, it looks like that severe threat, again, kind of winding down for our area. We did want to go back out to Road Warrior one last time to get a quick check out there. Is this the Robbins area? Is that where we're at? And we're losing the signal, unfortunately. It looks like and we might be getting it back. Is Nick on the phone? Okay.
Yeah, Corky.
Yeah, Nick, we can hear you just fine. Why don't you go ahead and give us an update, tell us where you have been driving through so far, and catch us up on what you've been seeing.
Okay, and my apologies if we lose you. We're having some cell service trouble up in this area. Again, as we've been saying, there's trees down, big and small, all over these communities. We haven't really been able to go far because the damage is so extensive, and the roads in some areas are even blocked. We have seen some trees down on some power lines. They were not snapped. But it's safe to say power is out throughout this area. And I guess the last thing I would say is we're seeing a lot of people driving about looking at the damage. I would strongly advise against that because crews have got a lot of work to do to clean up this mess and free up the roads as well as the homes that were affected by all this.
Good advice. Yes, anybody who does not need to absolutely be out on those roads, please give the emergency responders the time that they need to be able to get out there and take care of this. Obviously, you showed us a big tree that was down. Was that the Robbins area earlier that we were seeing? That was maybe 25 minutes ago or so. Have you seen anything else similar to that as you've been driving around, or has it just been kind of that one location that you saw a tree that was blocking the road?
No, there have been several instances of that. That was the only one that was covering both lanes of the roadway. We're actually coming up to along Robbins Road, I believe, on the eastern outskirts of Robbins. Another tree that has partially come down over the roadway. It's blocking all but one lane. And there's also standing water just about everywhere you drive. So we are going to try and get out of the way here and let crews do their business and hopefully clean up as soon as we can.
Okay. Thank you again for the reports, Nick. We appreciate it. And, of course, we will continue to have crews out throughout the rest of this afternoon, heading into the early evening, trying to find any more of those damage reports. I'll walk back into the green screen here just one last time. Just to give you a quick update on where those warnings are still in effect. It does extend from Prairie du Chien all the way down through Dubuque. We still have some severe thunderstorm warnings there. It's now starting to push out to the east around Maquoketa and Clinton. Still some strong winds possible in here, but we're not getting any of the tornado warnings that we had from earlier, and that's certainly good news. But there still is some straight line wind damage that could be possible with these storms and the heavy rain. The pictures that were coming out of Dubuque last night, incredible, 2 to 3 feet of water that was on Locust Street, and possibly could see some more flash flooding again in these areas. So please be vigilant, be mindful of the fact that you could be dealing with some more flash flooding. And it's not just this line, as Jen showed you. There's also another one that's out farther to the west. It's going to be moving through right now, not producing severe weather, but certainly could at least produce some more heavy rains and make the flash flooding situation even worse than what we're seeing right now. So please be cautious for the rest of the afternoon and evening. If you don't need to be venturing outside, please stay indoors. Let the city crews get out and try to fix what needs to be fixed to be able to repair what needs to be repaired, and also, of course, to do all the cleanup from these storms. We'll stay with you all the way through the afternoon. We'll be scrolling information across the bottom of your screen. If we do get any more alerts, we'll be sure to break back in and let you know. Until that time, great resource, iRadar, on our website, cbs2iowa.com or fox28iowa.com. You can be able to move the radar around. You can be able to zoom in all the way to street level, just like what we're doing here with the Doppler radar. So you can be able to track this latest round of storms we're watching now up around Mason City. Again, we're hoping that we're not going to see too much of any severe weather with that second line as it comes through, but we'll be watching it closely, at least for the potential for some more heavy rains, and that could make the flash flooding even worse. Please pay attention also to the river levels over the next several days, as those will undoubtedly be going higher. We'll also be crawling some information during our newscasts coming up later on the CBS 2 News at 5 and 6, detailing what you can expect there, as the rivers are also expected to come up with all this rain. We do want to send you back to regular programming at this point, and we'll continue to, again, be watching this as closely as possible. If you do have any more questions, you can also head to our website, head to our Facebook page, or also follow us on Twitter at KJAN_weather, and we'll be able to give you all the updates that you need there. Ask us questions on social media. We'll be happy to do the best that we can to answer them. For right now, we'll send you back to regular programming, and please, Eastern Iowa, stay safe the best you can for the rest of this evening and the rest of this afternoon, and hopefully